Hey there! Today we have a leaky toilet. And having a leaky toilet is pretty frustrating because if you don't fix it in time, it may just damage other parts of your house like your floor and your walls. So let's work on this one. I'm gonna show you two types of fixes, an easy one or temporary I call it, and then the full fix for a leaky toilet. When you start to look for the leak around your toilet, don't assume where the drip is where the leak is from. This just happened to be the lowest point where the water is running to. There's three places you should look for a leak. Number one is the supply line. Make sure to check the shutoff valve and the threads where it enters the tank. Number two is right underneath the tank before the bowl. Inside there, you should see one of these gaskets, and once these gaskets get old, they get dry, and then there's a leak that should come from them. And number three, the most important one, are these mounting bolts. Usually, these mounting bolts are the first ones to fail, and they are the most likely to be your leaking point. We're gonna shut off the water, give it a flush, and remove the cover. Using a bucket and a sponge, we remove all the extra water that's there. If you happen to have a shop vacuum, this works much easier. If not, just take your time with the sponge and suck all the water out of the tank. With the vice grip, go ahead and lock in place this nut that's located right underneath the tank. What you want to do then is tighten these mounting bolts. Depending on your toilet, you may have either two mounting bolts or, like mine, three mounting bolts. And if you notice you got about a quarter to a half a turn in one of the mounting bolts, you may just temporarily fix the problem. That's good if you have people coming over and you just want a quick fix. But in reality, that mounting bolt is leaking for a reason. And the reason is because of that gasket that the mounting bolt sits on, it's already deteriorating. So we need to replace that to fully prevent the leaks. And as I said before, you may have either two or three mounting bolts inside your toilet tank. Kits like these are fairly easy to find, so make sure to check the description below if you need help. And to replace this is easier said than done because sometimes the mounting bolts are also rusted and removing them it's very difficult. The first approach I recommend is probably the easiest. Using a large flathead screwdriver, try to break loose the mounting bolts and remove them. Right here, you can see the condition of the gasket of this first mounting bolt that I removed. A second method is by using one of these mini hacksaws. They are fairly inexpensive and you can check them out on the description below. It does take some elbow grease to cut through these bolts using them. It's not easy, but it's one way to do it. I was able to cut halfway through the bolt using them. The third approach here, it's the easiest, but it does require you having a sawzaw. Make sure you use a fine-tooth metal blade when doing this. And also, make sure to take your time and not to damage the porcelain on these toilets. The last method I have to show you, it's not super recommended, but may just get you out of a jam. Using vice grips, try to lock it right on the mounting bolt, and using a wrench, I suggest you try to break loose the nut. And then eventually, once you get towards the end, with the screwdriver on top, you remove the nut completely. At this point, you should be able to lift the tank and remove the mounting bolts. You should also replace the gasket. These gaskets are made from the same material as the washers on the mounting bolts. So likely they have the same life and are about to leak as well. Now we're ready to assemble the mounting bolts and install back the tank. The sequence I prefer when making these repairs are inside the tank, mounting bolt, rubber washer, underneath the tank, the second rubber washer, and underneath the toilet, metal washer and nut. Then you just go ahead and you start tightening each one of these mounting bolts one at a time. I use a flathead screwdriver inside the tank to hold the mounting bolt in place, and just a half-inch wrench underneath the toilet. And just be careful when tightening this down. You don't want to over tighten it and crack the porcelain on your toilet. And what you do is you just go around the toilet, tightening a little bit at a time. Now it's time to hook the water line back on. You start by hooking up to the shut-off valve, and then obviously you hook it up to your toilet tank. Make sure you tighten real good by hand, and if need, you could tighten a little bit over with your wrench. And don't forget to turn the water back on. Before you wrap up this project, make sure to give a couple flushes and check for leaks. And an even more important note, I suggest you check out this video on how to rebuild your toilet, because a leak on your mounting bolts is just a sign that other parts may fail soon. I hope you learned something from this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.